There is now only one way we get a Fallout New Vegas remaster or sequel, and it won't be made by Bethesda or Obsidian, the original studio. You'd think with Fallout's popularity exploding and Season 1 ending with New Vegas, that a New Vegas game would just be the easiest money printer of all time for Bethesda. But with recent news of Obsidian confirming Avowed 2 over The Outer Worlds 3 or any type of New Vegas project, and Bethesda's latest plans that we just learned from Todd Howard's GQ interview he did this past Monday for the Fallout anniversary, it suddenly feels like we'll never get another game set in New Vegas. Unless a third studio can make the game. Because other studios have already flirted with this idea, because Xbox, who owns Bethesda, needs money, and Bethesda and Obsidian have their hands full. So today I want to go over what we learned from Todd Howard's GQ interview, recent news around Obsidian, and how a New Vegas game could actually get made. So first, I just want to start off with why now is the perfect time for a New Vegas game. I mean, the show literally just wrapped up, ending in New Vegas. It's one of the most beloved games in the series. And I mean, even the Season 2 poster art is teasing New Vegas factions. This again just goes back to how unprepared Bethesda was and how little their expectations for the show truly were. Because if they really thought this show was going to be as successful as it really was, they would have had something lined up for this release. Could you imagine how big a Fallout New Vegas 2 or even just a simple remaster would have been if it released alongside Season 1? Seriously. Like Season 1 ends, you see New Vegas, and then there's a new game out. I mean, it would have been so successful, but they just did not anticipate the show to be the success that it was. And we can see the success everywhere, and it's honestly probably part of the reason we haven't gotten much with the Fallout games. Why spend all this money on a brand new game when games like 76 that have already been made and that can just get tiny little DLCs and content drops are bringing in players constantly, and they are hitting all-time highs. Fallout has more than doubled its concurrent players on Steam with the release of the Fallout TV series. Even Fallout 4, a game released over 10 years ago, saw a player spike of over 152% after the TV show. So the time is now. I mean, the time was honestly in 2024 when the show ended, but right now, 2025, now was the time. It's been so long since we got a true new Fallout single-player experience. So Obsidian, the studio behind the original Fallout New Vegas, would make perfect sense for this, right? Earlier this year, they tried their take on Skyrim, not trying to make a one-to-one, but a similar fantasy open-world game. And then The Outer Worlds 2 just dropped for them this past month, a game that is very similar to Fallout and similar to Starfield. They have an idea of how to do the Bethesda formula. And some say it's done even better with The Outer Worlds 2. You could honestly take the bones of The Outer Worlds 2 and easily make a New Vegas of some sorts. But the unfortunate reality is Avowed 2 is said to be their next game, not The Outer Worlds 3 and not Fallout New Vegas 2. That is the unfortunate part about all of this. And this just goes with the studio's philosophy. Obsidian knows you want another Fallout New Vegas, but the studio's VP of Operations says being able to work on their original IPs is one of the best aspects of being under Microsoft. And Xbox has been very supportive of this. And all three of the games that they made this year are their original IPs, Avowed, The Outer Worlds, and Grounded. So while it makes perfect sense for Obsidian to be the ones who make this game, they have said in the past their philosophy is they don't like taking big risks. They like making AA sized games without that huge risk of the huge budgets of AAA games. And we can even see that here. Obsidian says it won't chase huge profits or grow aggressively, and that's how it's going to last 100 years in the RPG business. Are we serious? Yes. This article just goes into detail. They don't like the huge expectations that come with big budget video games. As they put it, the Avowed studio expects each game to be a mild success and budgets accordingly. And we saw this earlier this year when The Outer Worlds 2 was originally announced at $80, but they were able to walk that back. And so that support that was noted earlier from Microsoft was seen there. They were allowed to walk back that $80 price tag, which is something they probably didn't want in the first place. And it's understandable because, funny enough, New Vegas, the original one that Obsidian made, was made off the bones of Fallout 3. It was originally intended to be a Fallout 3 DLC, and they took it over and had to make the game in like 18 months. And they said that that game almost broke the studio. And Fallout had huge expectations because of the IP and the branding and the big fan base. So, funny enough, Fallout New Vegas, the original one, is part of the reason why they haven't made a second one yet. But there's a lot more reasons to that as well. And so with that said, Why isn't Bethesda the ones to make a Fallout New Vegas if it's that highly sought after? Well, so on Fallout Day, we learned Fallout 4 is getting an Anniversary Edition, a Switch 2 port, and we got to learn a lot more about what's going on with Elder Scrolls 6 and the development behind Bethesda right now. This was seen in a Todd Howard interview this past Monday, November 10th. So yeah. So first things here, when it comes to the Elder Scrolls 6, I'm preaching patience. He tells me I don't want fans to feel anxious. This is not even the first hurdle that we would have to get over for a new Fallout. This is the second, because currently Bethesda has a Starfield DLC plan for 2026. This was delayed from 2025, and I imagine they're hard at work at it because this DLC is huge for Starfield. It got off to a rocky launch, and things got even more rocky after a very poorly received DLC. So they really need to step up and hit a home run with this second DLC and gain some momentum. So first they have the Starfield DLC, and then they also have the Elder Scrolls 6 there, and we can see that right here. What are you working on now? Todd Howard says we have hundreds of people on Fallout right now, with 76 and some other things we're doing, but the Elder Scrolls 6 is the everyday thing. So you might be asking, what are those other things Bethesda is doing? Well, obviously we know they're putting work into 76. It's still getting love, but where is the single player? Well, Fallout 5 has actually been officially greenlit earlier this year. This was back in July, this past summer. And this was done alongside them canceling a ZeniMax MMO and canceling and shedding money from the company. There were a lot of layoffs, a lot of games canceled. This was done to make room for Fallout 5, a safe bet for the company. Why risk making a brand new game when you can just easily get the money from Fallout 5? So with that said, if they're working on the Starfield DLC next year, all hands on deck for the Elder Scrolls 6, which seems to be 2027 at the absolute earliest, most likely 2028. Or maybe 2029 if things go really poorly. I imagine it's 2027 personally, but most people expect it around that time. If that's the case, a Fallout 5, even if it was being worked on now, is still years and years away. I mean, you imagine if they're fully invested in the Elder Scrolls 6, especially after the Starfield DLC ends next year, you won't see a Fallout until the 2030s as far as a brand new Fallout 5 in the mainline series. That's the unfortunate reality. So why can't another company come in and make a remaster for a game kind of like we saw with Oblivion earlier this year? Well, the studio who did that is actually making a Fallout 3. We learned this actually a few years ago when the Elder Scrolls 6 popped up, the Oblivion remaster popped up, and Fallout 3 remaster was on that document as well. This was all in the FTC document that appeared in court. And one of the things Howard is referring to, the VGC understands, is a remaster of Fallout 3. So we know Fallout 5 is on the way, but that's down the road after the Elder Scrolls 6. They are also probably helping with this Fallout 3 the similar as they helped with the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster. And that's just the way things lined up. They did not expect this show to take off the way it did, and they saw Fallout 3 as a good remaster to make. This was probably done years ago, probably before the 2020s, because that's when that court document leaked. They probably decided it's 2018, 2019. So they made that decision well before the show. They decided, we want you guys to remake 2 games for us. We want you to make Oblivion and then the Fallout 3. So this was done well before the show, and that's just the unfortunate reality of making games. They take years to make. You got to plan years in advance, and they did not plan years in advance for a Fallout New Vegas, even though that's where the show was ending. And that again just shows they did not expect the show to do as well as it did. So this remaster will just be Fallout 3 on Unreal Engine 5, just like the Oblivion. And I'm sure it's going to look beautiful, and it will probably look better than the Outer Worlds 2 or any of Bethesda's upcoming projects, just because they're still on old engines, especially Bethesda, that creation engine. Whereas Unreal Engine 5, as much problems as it has, Oblivion was beautiful. It had graphic problems as far as performance and technical issues, but just the textures and the way it looks, I mean, that is a beautiful looking game, and I imagine this to be the same. So that's why Obsidian can't do it, and that's why Bethesda can't do it. So if those two can't do it, who can? Well, that's the real question that Microsoft and Bethesda have to figure out. If we're still years away from the Fallout 3 remastered, and we're still years and years away from a Fallout 5 from the 2030s, where's the new content for Fallout besides 76? Where did the single player fans get their fix for a brand new game? Xbox would have to bring in their own studio to do this. They have the money for it, and there's obviously demand there. So it's 100% possible, in my opinion. And we already know that the developers behind Baldur's Gate, Larian Studios, were interested in making a Fallout before Baldur's Gate. They were interested in getting licensed to do another series from other games, and Fallout was one of those. Larian was eyeing both Fallout and other IPs. They were trying to get a licensing deal to do that before they ultimately got the Baldur's Gate series. And I can't imagine that Microsoft hasn't considered this idea. This would be the safest bet for the series out of any decisions that could be made. I would say Larian making a Fallout New Vegas would be a safer bet than a Fallout 5, to be honest, like with how much money it would take. Like Larian Studios killed it with Baldur's Gate 3, absolutely killed it. And it would be okay for that game to be different than other Fallouts because it's New Vegas. It's not that mainline series. It's okay if it's a little different in the universe. So the only way that we ever get a Fallout New Vegas remaster or sequel is from a new studio coming in. And we know Xbox owns Bethesda. They're facing a lot of pressure right now with Microsoft demanding 30% profit margins. This is why we saw huge layoffs within the company, price hikes with Xbox Game Pass and console prices. They are under a lot of pressure right now. And they are able to just throw money at things because it's Microsoft. It's one of the highest evaluated companies in the world. So if you could just throw money at Larian or some other studio to make a Fallout, why not? And I guess that's kind of the question that we're facing. And if this was done after the success of the show, we would probably see a game in a few years. It's just the unfortunate reality is they're probably betting on Fallout 76, the Fallout 5, which was already greenlit, which will probably come in the 2030s, or this Fallout 3 remaster, which is probably a few years away as well. And with all this said, I'm still hopeful. I honestly think we could still see this in the future. And even in the near future, it would be baffling to me for them to have not thought about New Vegas at all with the show ending there. Even if they didn't have the highest expectations for the show, it would just be baffling to me for them to have not thought about this and have done anything with New Vegas, honestly. Because I can't imagine Todd Howard really only planned on Fallout 3 being the only single player Fallout game made in a 15 plus year span between 2015 with Fallout 4 and the next mainline Fallout 5 in the 2030s. I can't imagine that was his only plan, but maybe they love Fallout 76 that much. Anyways, that's it. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and check out the channel if this is your kind of thing. And I will see you guys in the next. Peace.